I have 3 questions for you. 1. Do you like to get your day off to a great start? 2. Do you like fizzy drinks? 3. Would you love to try mixing those 2 together? If your answer to all these 3 questions was yes, then you are one of the reasons Pepsi AM was created. Sadly, the rest of us who said no, especially to the last question, are the reasons the Pepsi AM just did not see the light of day. On today's episode of Foodverge, we take a look at Pepsi AM, a fizzy drink whose light was eclipsed by the reality of the beverage industry. Pepsi AM came at a time when the coffee consumption in America was drastically going down. According to the London-based International Coffee Organization, Americans had gone from drinking around 3.12 cups of coffee per day to an average of 1.75 cups of coffee a day. On the other hand, fizzy drinks were replacing coffee as the morning drink of choice for a considerable amount of Americans. The number of soft drinks at breakfast time that were now consumed rose from 10% to 15% in just over a decade. In 1989, the soft drinks industry was booming at the time, and if Pepsi could gain just 1 extra percent share of the market, it would represent more than $400 million in additional retail sales. So Pepsi saw an opportunity. To further bridge the gap and swing more people away from coffee to their drinks, they needed to create something that would still provide these coffee drinkers with their early morning dose of caffeine. And if you think about it, this wasn't such a bad idea. The main reason why a lot of people can't get away from drinking coffee is because of the caffeine. So it made sense that simply providing that caffeine in a fizzy drink that was especially created for the morning time. With that in mind, Pepsi released the Pepsi AM with 25% more caffeine than regular Pepsi. The company test marketed the product in many cities such as Waterloo, Cedar Falls, and Fort Wayne. The goal of the company was to test and see if the boosted caffeine drink would appeal to coffee drinkers and sway them to swap their cup of Joe for a can of Pepsi AM. According to the New York Times, the Pepsi AM test was the most aggressive move that any beverage company had ever made at the time to encourage customers to take a soft drink in the morning. However, for all their efforts, the Pepsi AM did not make it to the breakfast tables. In fact, the whole facade broke fast. You see, the first and the biggest issue with the Pepsi AM was that it just didn't have enough caffeine. Although it had 25% more than regular Pepsi, it still had around 77% less than regular coffee. So, although it was a good supplement, it was just not caffeinated enough to completely replace the treasured morning beverage. Like the word AM, it was a cut down content of the actual thing, and it just wasn't enough to give people their morning boost. Sadly, sales were quite low and slow, and to add salt to the injury, those who had tasted the product said that the drink wasn't good enough. So, not only was it not caffeinated enough to replace coffee, it was not fizzy enough to replace Pepsi. Pepsi also released a diet version of this drink for people who are more conscious about their caloric intake. But that drink also didn't sell. Again, it just failed to appeal to any crowd. Regular coffee drinkers did not have to worry about the caloric content of their black coffee, and people who had the courage to drink soda first thing in the morning were not so bothered about the caloric content of their drinks either. When Pepsi realized that neither of these products were going to sell, it had already been a year. However, as their spokeswoman Lee Curtin said, "What we found from the test was we didn't need to reformulate our product for consumers to enjoy it in the morning." As a result, Pepsi AM was cancelled in 1990. You could say that they eventually woke up and smelled the coffee. CBS News captures the Pepsi AM perfectly with these words: "Pepsi has done a lot of brilliant things in their advertising and new products, but Pepsi AM was not one of them." As Pepsi failed with the Pepsi AM and its diet variant, they had also failed with other products such as the Crystal Pepsi, Pepsi Blue, and Pepsi Ice Cucumber. Leave a comment if you remember any of these classics. But here's something even more ridiculous. While the Pepsi AM was their first attempt at a morning beverage, it was not the last. The company went on to attempt one more coffee killer beverage. You might have heard of Pepsi Kona, Pepsi Cappuccino, and Pepsi Cafe, line of 2 flavors, original and vanilla. Pepsi Kona and Cafe were unsuccessful attempts in the United States, while Pepsi Cappuccino was attempted in Russia, Romania, and various parts of Europe, all with little to no success. You do have to give kudos to the company for its resilient spirit and the fact that they continue to roll out new coffee-based products regardless of the outcome. While it is true that every major company has had to deal with failure at some point in their history, companies like Pepsi continue to prove time and time again that no matter how many times you get knocked down, you can still go back to the drawing board and try again and again until you get it right. Today, Pepsi is the number 2 beverage maker in the world behind Coca-Cola. Do you think you would ever swap your coffee for a can of soda in the morning? If you've enjoyed this video, do let us know by clicking the like button. If there are any companies or products that you would like us to talk about, let us know in the comment section down below. For more videos about the biggest innovation failures in the food industry, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so that you never miss an upload.